My parents gave me a custom smartwatch for my 7th birthday. I wore it for 11 years without ever taking it off. It wasn't until I visited the Museum of Science and Technology that I discovered my watch could read the wearer's thoughts and transmit them. The technician was scanning the watch on the counter, his voice buzzing with excitement. This mind-reading tech was shut down a decade ago because of the massive privacy violations, he explained. I can't believe I'm seeing a functional, pre-ban model. Hey, if you're not in a hurry, could I take a closer look at its architecture? I could barely process his words. If this watch could read my mind, did that mean for the last 11 years I'd been completely exposed to my parents, a life with no privacy at all? I thought back to elementary school, when I'd get sent to my room for whispering with the girl at the next desk. My parents would say I wasn't taking my studies seriously. How did they know? Then in high school, a boy asked me to prom. I liked him too, but I turned him down to focus on my grades. That night, my parents accused of getting distracted by boys and forced me to transfer to a different school. One incident after another clicked into place, each one a testament to the fact that my parents had been using the watch to monitor my every thought. After the technician at the museum handed my watch back, I hesitated. Instead of putting it on, I slipped it into my backpack. The idea that my deepest, most private thoughts were an open book to my parents made my skin crawl. Growing up, they had always seemed so respectful. They would knock before entering my room or my brother's. They let us choose our own majors, our own hobbies, our own lives. I always thought I had the best parents, that they were just strict because they wanted me to succeed. I couldn't understand why they would spy on me like this. I went home, my mind a chaotic mess, and found my brother, Kevin, in his room. Hey, I started. Mom and Dad gave me that custom watch when I was little. Did you ever get a gift like that? Kevin glanced up from his phone, annoyed. No. I'm not into gadgets and jewelry like you are. Okay, but... I tried a different angle. Did they ever give you anything you had to wear all the time? He waved a dismissive hand. Now. I hate them picking stuff out for me. I just have them Venmo me the cash and I buy my own stuff. Look, you're gonna make me lose this round. Can you just? His words hit me. We were both their children, but I was the only one who had been monitored, the only one who grew up with a mind-reading watch strapped to my wrist. Why? Just then, Mom and Dad got home. The second she walked in, my mom's eyes, like they were on autolock, darted to my wrist. A beat of silence, then she shrieked. Chloe, where's your watch? Forgetting to even take off her shoes, she rushed over to me, her eyes flashing with a strange ferocity. Ahem. My dad came up behind her, tugging on her sleeve. What are you doing? Don't just start yelling at the kids the second you get home. He turned to me, his voice its usual warm, gentle tone. Honey, what happened to the watch you grew up with? Did you forget to put it on? Your mother and I had that custom made for you. The designer who built it has passed away, you know. If you lose it, we could never replace it. I held up my wrist, jingling the new silver bracelet I bought. It's not lost, it's in my backpack. I just got tired of wearing it after a decade, you know, so I switched it for this. Do you like it? My mom's face fell, a raw anxiety creeping into her voice. That bracelet is hideous. It's nothing compared to the watch. Have you forgotten? The stars and moon engraved on the case. Your father and I carved those ourselves to match your name, Celeste. You've worn it for so long, it should mean something to you. And you just toss it aside for some cheap piece of junk? How could you be so unappreciative? The warmth in my dad's expression also vanished, his brow furrowing. Chloe, it's not just a watch. It's a symbol of our love and our hopes for you. To just take it off like that. It's a slap in the face. I didn't get it. Why were they so frantic? I just put it away for safekeeping. I didn't throw it out. How is that a slap in the face? The watch is showing years of wear and tear. Doesn't putting it away preserve it longer? My mom's voice rose to a shout. This isn't about preservation, it's about your attitude. When you wear that watch, it means you're still our good little girl, connected to your mother and father. When you take it off, it feels like you're trying to cut us off, to push us away. I guess your wings are finally stiff enough that you don't think you need us anymore. I took a step back, studying my mom's flushed, agitated face and the flicker of panic in my dad's eyes. This was the first time in my life they had ever spoken to me with such force, such aggression. Why were they so obsessed with me wearing a watch? It was almost hysterical. I'm an adult. I can live my life without them watching over my shoulder every second. Unless there was something specific they were looking for in my thoughts. I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't want to keep fighting. We were a family. There shouldn't be anything we couldn't talk about openly. So, I decided to just say it. Actually, the reason I took it off is because I went to the tech museum today. Their scanners detected a chip inside my watch. One that can read the wearer's thoughts. The moment the words left my mouth, the color drained from both of their faces. They looked at each other in pure, unadulterated panic. My mother's finger trembled as she pointed at me. What? What are you talking about? Mind-reading watches? That's ridiculous. How can you be so gullible? You believe every crazy thing strangers tell you? My dad took a deep breath, trying to regain his composure, and shifted to blaming me. Chloe, how could you question your mother and me because of something a stranger said? That watch. I admit, it has a health monitoring system built in. It's because you were so frail as a child, we were worried about you. A health monitor? I cut him off, a delayed wave of humiliation and anger making my eyes sting with tears. Does a health monitor need to know every time I whisper to a friend in class? Does it need to know which boy I turned down for dance? Does it need to decide my attitude is poor and punish me because I complained in my head about having too much homework? With that watch, you've seen every single one of my thoughts. I've been like an exhibit you could inspect under a spotlight, stripped bare, with no dignity and no privacy. I couldn't even be sad or angry or curse someone out in my own mind without you immediately swooping in to correct and educate me. Don't I have the right to my own secrets, my own inner life, as a human being? Under the barrage of my questions, my mother's eyes darted around guiltily. She and my dad probably knew they'd slipped up too many times over the years, revealing they knew things they shouldn't have. They knew I wouldn't believe any more lies. She scrambled for an excuse. Fine, the watch has some of those functions. But it was for your own good. We were afraid you'd fall in with the wrong crowd, that you'd make mistakes. By watching, we could guide you in time. And look at you now, you've grown up to be such an outstanding young woman because of our guidance. I seized on her words. Right. And since you know I'm so mature and outstanding now, can you finally give me back my privacy? Can you stop trying to monitor my thoughts with a watch? I'm your daughter, not a prisoner you need to keep under surveillance. My mom, trapped by her own logic, was speechless. My dad just sighed and fell silent. After the explosive fight with my parents, I went to my room but couldn't sleep. Who could rest easy knowing their own parents, the people they loved and trusted most, had been monitoring them with a mind-reading device for over a decade? I tossed and turned, my mind racing. Suddenly, I felt a cold touch on my hand. I groggily opened my eyes. In the pitch-black room, a dark figure was leaning over my bed. Air! I screamed. The small, voice-activated nightlight on my bedside table flickered on, illuminating the intruder, my mother. She was holding the watch I'd taken off and trying to fasten it onto my wrist. "Mom, what are you doing in my room in the middle of the night? I told you I don't want to wear it. Can't you please respect my decision?" She shot me a glare, her voice firm. "No. You have to wear this. Do you have any idea that this watch cost over $100,000 to make? That was over 10 years ago. That's like $500,000 in today's money. It was all the love your father and I poured into you. But I don't want to be spied on. I'm a person, not a pet. I need my own space, my own secrets." I pulled the watch off and tossed it onto the comforter. My mom just stared at me, her gaze intensely analytical. There was something deeply unsettling about the way she was looking at me. "Mom, what is really going on?" I asked. She shook her head, her eyes falling to the watch on the bed. "Fine. Kids grow up and they don't want to be close to their parents anymore. If you don't want to wear it, then don't. I'm done talking about it." She left my room with a look of profound disappointment. But as I lay in bed, sleep was further away than ever. Something was seriously wrong. Why did they need me to wear the watch? What were they so desperate to hear from my thoughts? I was still wide awake at 3 a.m. giving up on sleep. I got up, deciding to get some fresh air in the backyard to clear my head. I turned the doorknob quietly. The living room was dark. My parents' bedroom door was closed, and I couldn't hear the usual sounds of my brother's late-night gaming sessions. They must have all been asleep. I breathed a small sigh of relief. Not bothering with the lights, I walked by moonlight toward the back door leading to the yard. Just as my hand touched the doorknob, I heard a low murmur coming from a dark corner of the patio. It was my parents' voices. They were both health-conscious and never stayed up late. Why were they out here in the middle of the night? On a strange impulse, I pulled my hand back, melted into the shadows by the door, and held my breath to listen. I heard my mom first. I put the watch on her while she was asleep. I checked her thoughts when I got back to our room. It seems like she doesn't know. But she's still refusing to wear it, and my dad said, his voice a low rumble. "This is making me nervous. If we force her, won't that just make her more suspicious?" My mom made a frustrated sound. Oh. This is the problem with raising someone else's kid. After all this time, you still don't know if they're really on your side. What if she's just an ungrateful little viper waiting to strike? My head started spinning. Someone else's kid? Were they talking about me? But I've been their child for as long as I can remember. If I wasn't their biological daughter, then who were my real parents? And how did I end up being raised by them? In that one moment, a flood of memories became horribly clear. The fact that only I was monitored, never my brother. The way relatives were always warmer to Kevin but cool and distant with me. The fact that Kevin looked just like Dad, while I looked like neither of them. They always explained it away by saying I took after my maternal grandmother, who had passed away before I was born. If I wasn't their biological child, all the pieces of their differential treatment fit together perfectly. My mom was still talking, her voice laced with venom. "No, I have to find a way to make her wear that watch again. We can't let her out of our control. Otherwise, it could be bad for 4-hour Kevin." My dad sighed heavily. "We'll figure something out. If we really can't control her, we could always get some of that medication, the kind that messes with your head. We could say she has mental health issues, get her committed." My mom agreed instantly. "That could work. Then we pay off an orderly to take care of her over time. It would be one less problem to worry about. It's been so long, it's not like anyone is paying attention to her anymore. I heard them shuffling, getting ready to come inside. I silently let go of the doorknob and slipped back to my room. Only after I closed the door behind me did my strength give out. I slid down, my back against the wood panel, and sat on the floor. I wanted to cry, but my eyes were bone dry. So, the monitoring was never about concern. It was about containment. They were guarding against me. They were so afraid of me they were willing to have me killed. I had to find out what secret they were so terrified of me discovering. Asking them directly was pointless. They'd been hiding it for years. My only option was to dig. I started searching online news archives, looking for anything major that happened around the year I was born. I found it in the digital archives of an old local paper. The headline gave me a sickening sense of déjà vu. Tragedy in Glenview. 6-year-old's joyride in unlocked car leaves local couple dead. Who is to blame? I clicked on the link and read every single word. The article clearly detailed how, 18 years ago, a young couple was riding home on an electric scooter after taking their 1-month-old baby for her vaccinations. A car, parked carelessly on the side of the road, suddenly lurched forward and struck them. The 2 adults died on impact. The baby, cradled between them, survived. The cause of the accident: a 6-year-old boy had climbed into the unlocked car through an open window and had somehow managed to start the engine. In the ensuing public outcry, people demanded harsh penalties for the car's owner and the boy's guardians. The article included photos of the boy's parents. They were my parents. At the time, their company was just a small startup, and they were terrified of the negative press. So, in a move of cold, calculated public relations, they used the tragedy to their advantage. They held a press conference, publicly apologizing to my deceased biological parents. They announced that, to atone for their son's mistake, they would adopt me, the orphaned infant, and raise me as their own. The gesture won them immense public sympathy and name recognition. Business deals poured in, and their company grew into what it is today. It was all there in black and white. That mind-reading watch was never a gift of love. The facts settled in my gut like ice. My entire body started to shake. If they had truly loved me like their own daughter, I would have never questioned my origins, never gone searching for the truth. Even if I had found out, I would have still considered them my family. I wouldn't have felt this burning need for revenge. After all, my brother was only 6 when it happened. But they were the guilty ones. Their son destroyed my family. And yet, in the 18 years they raised me, they showed no remorse. They selfishly stripped me of my privacy, dissected my every thought, and treated me like a ticking time bomb. They were terrified I would find out that their son, my brother, he had killed my real parents. They were afraid I would hate them, that I would want revenge, especially on their precious son. I couldn't tell if what I felt was more hatred or sorrow. Because before tonight, I had truly, genuinely loved them as my parents. I took a deep, shuddering breath, forcing myself to calm down. I couldn't fall apart. They didn't love me. Once they ran out of patience, they would really try to lock me away in a mental hospital and have me tortured to death. After a moment of thought, I took the watch out of my backpack and clicked it firmly back onto my wrist. If they were so desperate to know what I was thinking, then I would give them a show. The next morning, I made a point of walking past my parents in the living room. My mom's face lit up when she saw the watch back on my wrist. "Chloe, you're not upset with us anymore about knowing your thoughts. That's my good girl. You shouldn't have any secrets from your parents anyway." I smiled, playing the part of the obedient daughter. The bracelet got boring after a few days. I guess I just prefer the watch you and Dad gave me. I thought about it, and it's fine. I don't have anything to hide, so it doesn't matter if you know what I'm thinking. You're just worried about me, I get it. My dad nodded, a look of relief on his face. I knew you were closest to us, Chloe. And don't worry, we know you're older now. Your mother and I won't be checking in all the time, and we won't interfere. I went about my day as usual, heading off to my classes at the university, trying my best not to dwell on the truth. Instead, I started to deliberately think about things I had noticed over the years but had pushed aside. I remember seeing Dad having lunch with that pretty woman from his office. I projected, feigning concern in my thoughts. And that teenage boy with them. He looked a lot like Dad. Their relationship seemed a little too friendly. Then, I shifted my thoughts to my mother. I remember when I was about 10, Mom took me to that new lounge one of her friends opened. This really handsome guy came over and asked if she wanted company. Mom had this blushy, shy smile I'd never seen before. She had her friend watch me while she and the handsome guy went to a corner table to drink together. She met up with him a few more times after that, always saying it was just a girl's day out. Before, when I considered them my loving parents, I refused to entertain the idea that they might be unfaithful. But now, I didn't care. The harmony of this family had nothing to do with me. My university was a short drive from home. After breakfast, I left for class. My parents watched me go, and as soon as I was out of sight, they pulled out their phones to read the report from the watch. A quick scan confirmed I had no inkling of the truth about my past, and they both sighed in relief. But in the next second, their expressions tensed. They turned to each other, asking the exact same question at the exact same time. Is what Chloe was thinking about true? My dad was the first to make an excuse. What Chloe saw was just me treating a subordinate to lunch. You know how it is, you have to cultivate loyalty in your key employees. My mom was just as quick with her own alibi. And I only went to that lounge to support Linda's new business, so her husband would keep his company's contract with us. The man I was talking to was just an employee there. All my friends from the club were there. We weren't alone. They seemed to accept each other's explanations, and the subject was dropped. But the seed of suspicion had been planted. A week later, the family exploded. My dad had secretly used his connections to discover that my mom had been seeing a male model for over 3 years, showering him with expensive gifts. My mom had hired a private investigator and found out that my dad had a whole other family with his secretary. Their son was almost the same age as me. For years, my dad had been siphoning company assets to support them. When I got home from class, the living room was a war zone of shattered plates and broken glass. The housekeeper stood silently in a corner, too afraid to move. My parents were still screaming at each other. "You cheating bitch," my dad yelled, pointing a finger in my mom's face. "How do you make a fool of me? Are all your little high society friends laughing at me behind my back? I've spent my whole life building my reputation, and you've destroyed it." My mom fired right back. "And you're any better? You're always too busy, too tired for me, but you have enough energy to go start another family with some slut from the office. Let me tell you something, everything we built goes to my son. Don't you dare try and give another penny to your bastard child." My brother, Kevin, who had been ignoring the fight while playing games on his phone, finally looked up when he heard the word assets. "Hey, I don't care what you two do on the side," he said, not even pausing his game. "But all your money is mine someday, so don't go messing with it." Ever since graduating from college, Kevin had done nothing but play video games all day. He had no interest in learning the family business or getting a job. My mom was constantly worried about his future, always pushing my dad to work harder so Kevin would have enough money to coast through life. But now, she no longer trusted my dad to run the company alone. They began a bitter battle for control. During the peak of their infighting, I took off my watch, snuck into my dad's office, and cracked the password on his laptop. In an encrypted folder, I found everything: the next quarter's core marketing strategy, a list of major clients, and their confidential pricing agreements. I took the data and sold it to their biggest competitor. Key clients were poached with better offers. Major deals collapsed because of the leaked strategy. Suddenly, the company was facing a catastrophic cash flow crisis, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. My parents had no time for their feud anymore. In a desperate bid to secure a new investor, they came up with a new plan. They would marry me off. "Chloe, you know the situation with the company," my dad said, slumping onto the sofa, looking utterly exhausted. "If we can't fix this cash flow problem, we'll have to declare bankruptcy and we'll be saddled with a mountain of debt. Right now, you're the only one who can help us." My mom looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. "If there was any other way, honey, I would never ask you to even think about marriage at your age. But your father and I are at the end of our rope." Kevin chimed in. "We fed and clothed you for 18 years. The least you can do is marry someone to save the company. Who's the guy, anyway? Let's get him over here so Chloe can meet him and get this over with." My mom glanced at me nervously, struggling to get the words out. It's Mr. Thompson, from Apex Holdings. He's incredibly wealthy. He met you at your graduation party and was very taken with you. If you agree to get engaged, he'll inject the capital we need immediately. You can finish college, and then you'll get married. I almost laughed out loud. "You mean that fat, bald Mr. Thompson? If I remember correctly, he's older than Dad." "Forget it. I'm not marrying some gross old man." My dad's face darkened. The stress of the company's crisis had stripped away his gentle father facade. "What kind of attitude is that?" he snapped. "So Mr. Thompson is a little older. He's a powerful man. You marry him, you'll be set for life. Are we trying to hurt you, or would you rather just watch this family go bankrupt and all of us end up on the street?" My mom put on a pained expression, squeezing out a few tears. "Chloe, I know this is a lot to ask. But you're part of this family, and the family is in trouble. We need you to do your part. Please, I'm begging you. Once we're past this crisis, if you're unhappy with Mr. Thompson and want a divorce, I'll support you." I shook my head firmly. "No. No matter what you say, the answer is no. I don't believe you can find someone to partner with who is closer to my age. You're just too lazy to look. You just want to sell me off to the highest bidder as quickly as possible." "No." My dad slammed his hand on the table. "You don't get a say in this. Who do you think you are, some princess? If Mr. Thompson didn't already have a connection to this family, he wouldn't even look twice at you. We raised you for 18 years, and now, when we ask for one thing in return, you refuse? You selfish, ungrateful child. I'm telling you, this is happening, whether you like it or not." I stared back at him coldly. "What are you going to do? This is a civilized country. Are you really going to try and force me into a marriage? I'm only 18. Forcing me to marry is a crime. If you push this, I'll see you in court. Then on top of your bankruptcy, you'll be facing prison time." Hearing that, my mom dropped the tears and her voice turned sharp. You really are an ungrateful viper. How dare you talk like that? Threatening to send your own parents to jail. You should be ashamed of yourself." I shrugged. "Call me whatever you want. I will never agree to this marriage. I'm moving into my dorm for a while. I'll come back when you've sorted this out." As I walked toward the door, Kevin, who had been silent, called out to me. "Chloe, are you really not going to sacrifice a little to save this family?" Without turning around, I shook my head. "Fine," he said, his voice low and menacing. "I have my ways of making you agree. He didn't care who I married. He just wanted to save the company and protect his life of luxury. I didn't know what he could possibly do to force me, but I wasn't afraid. Whatever he threw at me, I'd throw it right back. I never expected my brother's plan to be so pathetic. He went on the university's anonymous confessions blog and posted my entire story: how I was adopted, how the family company was in crisis, and how I was coldly refusing to help the parents who had saved me from a life as an orphan by agreeing to an arranged marriage. He painted me as a selfish, ungrateful monster. It worked. The post went viral on campus, and almost overnight, I became a social pariah. When I went to class, the students next to me would whisper loudly enough for me to hear. I thought she was some rich princess. Turns out she's just a charity case. Her adoptive parents gave her everything, and this is how she repays them. Just stands by and watches them suffer. What a horrible person. Why would anyone adopt a kid like that? She should have just starved in an orphanage. Ungrateful snake. The rumors spread like wildfire. Even my roommates, who didn't join in the name-calling, started avoiding me. They couldn't handle the constant stares and whispers that followed me everywhere. I was walking across campus alone when my brother, Kevin, stepped out from behind a building. He had clearly been following me, listening to the taunts. "How does it feel, Chloe?" he sneered. "Ready to give up this stubborn act? If you agree to come home and get engaged to Mr. Thompson, I can post a retraction." I feigned shock, as if I were just learning the truth for the first time. "If it wasn't for your post, I would have never known I wasn't their real daughter," I said, my voice trembling. "Who are my biological parents? Where are they?" At the mention of my real parents, Kevin's face went pale. He must have flashed back to the car crash he caused when he was 6, maybe even to the gruesome sight of my parents' mangled bodies. A sick, panicked look crossed his face. He gagged, covering his mouth for a moment before glaring at me with renewed anger. "Who knows? You were just an orphan with no parents. My mom and dad were kind enough to take you in. They raised you, fed you, sent you to a good school. You owe them. Now it's time to pay them back. You marry him, you save the family. It's the right thing to do." I looked at him, and all I felt was a cold, hard disappointment. He, and my parents, felt not a single shred of guilt for killing my parents and destroying my life. If that's how it was going to be, then I was done holding back. I was about to contact a journalist to expose the entire story when my phone rang. It was my parents. Their tone was sickeningly sweet. "Chloe, honey, your father and I were just so stressed out. We said some terrible things, and my mom cooed. And your brother, he was just panicked and did something foolish. We've thought about it, and if you don't want the arranged marriage, that's okay. We'll find another way. Please don't stay at the dorm eating cafeteria food. I've made all your favorite dishes. Come home for dinner. Let us apologize." I knew it was a trap, but I accepted anyway. On my way home, I texted my best friend and roommate. I gave her my address and told her that if she didn't hear from me in exactly 1 hour, she should call the police. I also tucked a miniature voice recorder into my purse. I was ready to see what kind of sick game they were playing now. When I arrived home, the dining table was, as promised, covered in my favorite foods. My mom greeted me with a warm smile, pulling me into a chair. Then she turned and slapped my brother on the arm. "Apologize to your sister. You idiot, telling the whole world our private business, getting your sister bullied at school." Kevin rolled his eyes and mumbled an insincere, "Sorry, I was stressed." My dad poured me a glass of my favorite orange juice and set it beside my plate. "Even though you're adopted, your mother and I have always thought of you as our own daughter. Don't let this create a rift between us. We'll always be a loving family." eyed the glass of juice and pushed it away. I'm not thirsty. I came home today because I want to know why you adopted me. Where are my biological parents? I was a healthy baby with no genetic issues. It's unlikely I was abandoned. My dad's smile froze for a second before he forced a laugh. Well, obviously we could only adopt you because you didn't have parents. As for what happened to them, it was so long ago, I can't recall. But you know how well we've treated you all these years. You're not thinking of leaving us to go search for your roots, are you? I shook my head. I know exactly how you treated me. It was never the same as how you treated Kevin. He never had a mind-reading watch monitoring his every move. He was never beaten for a bad grade. He was never punished for talking back. If you couldn't love me like your own son, why did you adopt me? Sometimes I wonder if you did something terrible, and you were so afraid of it getting out that you had to control my every thought. As I spoke, my mom's face went white, and my dad slammed his chopsticks down on the table. What are you talking about? What could we possibly have done? Is it a crime that we raised you for 18 years? Kevin let out an annoyed sigh from across the table. That's enough. Why are you still pretending to be loving parents? She's not buying it. Since she won't do this the easy way, we'll have to do it the hard way. As he finished speaking, he shot a look at our parents. In a flash, both of them lunged at me, grabbing my arms and forcing me to the floor. Kevin then walked over to his room and opened the door. He emerged with a sickeningly sweet smile, ushering out a portly, wheezing man. It was Mr. Thompson, the man they wanted me to marry. Mr. Thompson waddled over, a greasy smile on his face. He squatted down and ran a hand over my cheek, nodding in satisfaction. Very nice. College girls are always so fresh. My dad turned to him. Mr. Thompson, we got her here for you. Just like we agreed. As long as you get to have her tonight, you'll approve the investment for our company. Mr. Thompson rubbed his hands together and let out a grimy chuckle. Of course, of course. Get her into the bedroom. And make sure she drinks some of that juice we mixed. I don't like them when they fight back. Get away from me. I screamed, and with all my strength, I managed to spit right in his face. Kevin immediately slapped me across the face, so hard my ears rang. Shut your mouth. You don't get to talk to Mr. Thompson like that. He grabbed the glass of orange juice from the table, pinched my jaw, and tried to pour it down my throat. As he leaned in close, I twisted my head and sank my teeth into his ear, biting down as hard as I could. Era! He screamed in agony, trying to pull away, but I locked my jaw and refused to let go. The taste of blood filled my mouth as his ear tore. Let go, you psycho! Let go of me! My parents panicked, terrified I was going to rip his ear clean off. My mom started slapping me hysterically while my dad tried to pry my jaw open. All the while, the disgusting pig Mr. Thompson was groping and pinching my body. In the middle of the chaos, the sound of sirens grew louder and closer, followed by a hard banging on the front door. Police, open up. We have a report of a crime in progress. Everyone in the room, except me, froze. Mr. Thompson's face went slack with terror as he scrambled backward. My parents, looking utterly bewildered, let go of me. I took my chance and released my bite, spitting a mouthful of blood onto the floor. My brother collapsed, clutching his shredded, bleeding ear and writhing in pain. The front door was forced open, and several police officers stormed in. Seeing the scene of chaos, their expressions immediately hardened. Who called 911? The lead officer demanded. What's going on here? I weakly raised a hand. I did, officer. They were trying to drug and assault me. I have a recording in my purse. Before being led away, my mom tried to lunge at me one last time, her voice a raw scream of hatred. "You bitch. You set us up with a recorder. I regret it all. I should have let you die that day. We raised a monster for 18 years, a curse on this family. You'll get what's coming to you." I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and looked at her with cold, empty eyes. "You failed to properly raise and supervise your son, which led to him killing my parents. You're the ones who will get what's coming to you. The recording I provided captured the entire event. However, because the police arrived before any sexual assault occurred and because of my legal status as their daughter, the incident was initially classified as a domestic dispute. In the end, my parents and Kevin were held in custody for a month. Mr. Thompson got 3. While they were gone, I contacted the city's largest news network. I told them I was the surviving infant from the infamous Itotola joyride tragedy that had shocked the nation 18 years ago. The media, fascinated by the story, granted me a public interview. I gave them the mind-reading watch for analysis and told the world about the 11 years I spent under constant surveillance, with no privacy or dignity. I described how the family tried to force me to marry a lecherous old man to save their company and how, when I refused, they conspired to have me drugged and assaulted. I provided documents, screenshots, and the audio recording to prove every word. After the interview aired, public outrage was swift and massive. I remember that story from 18 years ago. That poor baby only survived because her parents used their own bodies to shield her from the car. I cried for days. The Miller family are absolute monsters. They kill her parents and then, instead of making amends, they abuse her. Can't people like that just be locked up forever? They were already indebted to this girl for life, and they still tried to sell her off to some old pervert for money. That whole family is rotten to the core. That mind-reading watch. That's horrifying. For more than a decade, that girl had no inner life, no privacy from her abusers. Apex Holdings moved fast. That disgusting pig Thompson has already been fired as CEO, and the company is suing him for damaging their reputation. The tsunami of negative press caused every remaining client of the Millers company to terminate their contracts. Business partners fled, pulling out of all joint ventures. A month later, when my adoptive family was released from custody, they were met with the news that their company was officially bankrupt and in liquidation. Worse, they were facing colossal debts from the failed projects and broken contracts. All their properties were seized and auctioned off. Their bank accounts were frozen. The 3 of them ended up in a filthy, run-down apartment in the worst part of the city. Debt collectors showed up every other day to harass them and smash what little they had left. Kevin, who had lived his entire life as a spoiled prince, couldn't handle it. He was mocked by his old friends and beaten by debt collectors. He was constantly starving, forced to take grueling manual labor jobs just to afford a meal. The misery twisted his soul, and his hatred for me grew, convinced I had destroyed his life. He found out where I was living. He stole a beat-up cargo van and, as I was walking home one evening, he drove straight at me. In that instant, it felt as if a protective force warned me. On pure instinct, I threw myself back into the narrow gap behind a guardrail, a space the van couldn't reach. Kevin missed. The van, traveling too fast, fishtailed wildly. He lost control, and the vehicle careened off the side of the overpass, plunging into the river below. It vanished beneath the dark water in seconds. It took the rescue team until the next day to pull his body and the wreckage from the river. The official report stated he died by drowning following an accidental loss of vehicle control. When I heard Kevin was dead, the only thing I felt was a profound sense of justice. He used a car to kill my parents. He tried to use a car to kill me. In the end, the same act killed him. It was karma. He got the ending he deserved. His mother, Karen, couldn't handle the death of her only son. She had a complete psychotic break while identifying the body and was committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for David, after enduring bankruptcy, public humiliation, the death of his son, and the insanity of his wife, he somehow managed to keep going. He tried to find his mistress and his illegitimate son, hoping to start a new life with his other family. But they wanted nothing to do with the disgraced, penniless old man. They slammed the door in his face, claiming they didn't know him. With his last escape route gone, abandoned by everyone, and living in constant fear of debt collectors, David finally broke. He went to the now empty skyscraper that once housed his company, climbed to the roof, and jumped. He died on impact. I went through the city archives and found the location of my biological parents' graves. I brought 2 bouquets of white chrysanthemums and placed one before each of their headstones. I stood there for a long time, looking at their faded photographs. Their faces were both strange and intimately familiar, their smiles bright and full of life. I gently wiped the dust from their names, my voice a soft whisper. Mom, Dad. The people who hurt us have all paid for what they did. You can rest now. As for me, I can finally start my own life, a free life. I know you'll be watching over me.